Making another video. Yeah, go ahead. Anyway, new camera. Well, it's not new. It's another defective camera. Yeah, I had to retire this one. Yeah, the sound has started to go, so it's good for recharging batteries, which this one won't do properly. So it'll either recharge the battery or connect with the USB, but I can't do both, which is sort of useless. But anyways, it's a sort of a pain. Well, I want to go into it, but whatever. So anyway, it's the same style camera. So I kind of like the format. File size is manageable, and the quality is pretty good. So yeah, but maybe I'll try some different cameras. But anyway, this camera has done about I don't know, 2,000 videos or more. Yeah, it's not a lot of videos. A lot of videos on that camera. So anyway, you know, holiday. He's just so dishonest. So, you know, this part is just so funny because it's just so dishonest. So I'll have to play it because it's so dishonest.
And you talk about the difficulty of describing sentience, as you put it, to a person.
Yeah, that's right. I talk about the difficulty of describing sentience to something that never experienced sentience. That would be very hard to explain it to something that never had a feeling, what a feeling is like. Yeah. I wasn't talking about personal experiences. I wasn't talking about how much you personally like chocolate ice cream. None of that was in any of this.
Experience that you can gain knowledge of it.
So
So through personal experience you gain knowledge of it. That's what he allowed me to say, that tiny clip. All right, but cut out of the context of a conversation about the fact that sentience, you have to experience it to know it. And through experiencing it, you know it. All right? You can't know what torture is unless you know what a feeling is, what it feels like to feel awful or to feel pain. You have to know it by experiencing it. You have to taste it to know it. Fuck. And he perverts that into back to his same old dodge of this value projection crap. He doesn't understand value as anything other than a verb. So he doesn't understand anything except I value things. And there is no intrinsic value. So again, no victim has intrinsic value. I can choose to care or not care. It doesn't matter because there's no real value. He's just a nihilist and an insane nihilist, and I mean just totally unreasonable. I mean, this isn't that complicated. I mean, how many times have I used the word currency to describe feelings? Feelings are the currency of life. You exchange this currency, okay? That the red debt currency of suffering for the gold, positive currency of comfort. And this is what we're exchanging. This is value in the world, in the universe. There's just no other, you can't look at it any other way. I've described the store where you go in and buy stuff. And if you had to actually pay the real price, if you had to experience the suffering that is the cost of your existence, you probably wouldn't buy anything. But it's certainly if you saw the percentages or the real percentages and you saw torture tags tied on things, you probably wouldn't go anywhere near that crap.
Yeah, it seems to me that we are talking about personal experience.
So there you go again, personal experience. I'm talking about something universal to all human beings. We're all sensate. That's the only personal part of the there was nothing personal beyond that statement, that we all experience sensation, and that we all would have a hard time explaining sensations to a non-sentient. And that's why we have a language that probably doesn't even have the terminology for it, is because we all know it already. I don't have to explain. If I say something, I had a cold and my lungs felt like broken glass, people can understand that, because they know what that feeling's like, and blah, blah, blah. So they can understand that kind of, oh yeah, I've been there, or, in describing these sensations. But you couldn't do it with something that never felt anything. That was the point. And you're perverting it deliberately and willfully to your purposes because you're just a conniving, weaselly, lying son of a bitch.
and that in everyday language, you have the dictionary at the ready.
So he calls it everyday language, and then he says, I have the dictionary at the ready.
With a, and I've been through all this with you before.
Yeah, and I've already explained this all before, okay? I have absolutely no interest in a philosophical fantasy conversation, a conversation about non-truth, about non-reality. I don't really care. If you don't think value exists, I don't care what your values are then. If you don't think there's a truth to what you're saying, then why the fuck would I be interested? I have no interest in your gingerbread story. So if you're either talking about reality or you're talking bullshit. You want to tell fables to people, tell them to somebody else, because I have no interest. Don't sell it on the internet as if you're talking the truth, or you're telling something meaningful, or saying something meaningful. If you don't believe in reality, and you don't believe in the goddamn truth, then just announce that in your goddamn videos, and make it goddamn clear that you're just talking shit, that you're just talking out of your fucking ass, that it doesn't mean a goddamn fucking thing, because it's just your motherfucking opinion, and it has no relation to any notion of truth. Say that out loud so people understand you're just talking fantasy nonsense. That your goddamn value schema doesn't mean anything because you don't even believe in it. You don't think it's the fucking truth. So say that. And quit wasting people's goddamn time pretending that you're saying something meaningful or significant as a philosopher. You're obviously not doing philosophy. You're doing fantasy fable babbling. Fucking idiot.
We've not addressed the points that value. Look it up in the dictionary, please, and tell me. And I've made this request before, a request that has gone unanswered, to my knowledge.
Oh, you're such a fucking liar.
Value in the dictionary, the Oxford Concise.
Yeah, we all know what it is, right? We all know the values, plus and minus numbers, debt, profit, cost, benefit. We know this is what value is, commonly. In common fucking language, we all know what a dollar fucking buys, and we know why it's worth something is because, yeah, you have to go to work and you have to sweat, and that sucks. Okay, that sucks. That's a value statement, retard.
The large pocket dictionary. Well, the amount of money that something is worth.
There, currency, okay? I've used the word in what? At least? Well, I don't know how many. What percentage? Let's say 10% of the videos on this subject, at least. At least. Worth.
Well, that's not contextual of the value we're talking about.
Yeah, right. No, I just used it in the very video you're responding to. I actually used that as an analogy. The economy and the value. I made that as a metaphor. So, yeah, it's completely contextual.
The importance or usefulness of something.
Importance. Yeah, you hear the word importance? Doesn't that relate to all kinds of other words like significance, meaning, substantive matter, all that kind of stuff? That's what importance would be. Yes, something's important versus your fables that aren't important. Reality's important. Fables and made-up fantasy stories aren't important. Yeah. Bingo. Let's just stop there, retard.
Maybe the importance.
No, not maybe. Yes, importance. There, you can just stop right there. There you go. Importance. Value designates importance. There's qualities to importance, the positive and negative importance. The importance of destructive versus productive. Does anybody within the sound of my voice, they don't understand that destructive and productive are value terms?
Values, standards of behaviour. 4, in math, the amount represented by a letter or symbol or number.
Yeah, the amount of suffering, the amount of comfort. Yeah. All right, anyway, there's no real point in playing these games, but I mean, look, you just do it online. Worth is the first word. Worth. Are we done now? Gain, profit, good. It's right there. We're done now, right? This guy is such an asshole. again, so again, just to understand. All right, I'll just play it, and then we'll, I'll do the jump back in thing after I play some of it. There's no point. There's no point in playing this video. It's an idiotic, inane, insipid, stupid video. And again, there's no point in him saying personal value. Just mean personal valuing. He doesn't see anything but projection. He doesn't think. He thinks we project suffering. Suffering doesn't happen to us. No, we project it. We create it, and it doesn't mean anything because we created it. He thinks experiencing suffering is the same as when you project the value on a ceramic elephant. Say you have a ceramic elephant on the shelf, and you place value on it and put it on the shelf and keep it clean of dust and everything else because you value it. He thinks valuing that elephant is the same as getting cancer. Yeah, he's fucking retarded. And I have to waste my time with this. Because you idiots won't just say, you're fucking retarded, Athlade. You better go back to whatever, kindergarten and start over because you came out retarded. Fuck. Twat-tarded. Anyway, I'll be back. Really hard to listen to this shit. So anyway, just went through the whole word soup here, just playing games with words, always kind of avoiding the ones that matter, in terms of words that have real meaning, like suffering, torture. Again, negating these things and saying basically that your opinion is all that matters. And so if you don't, there's no logic to lead you to think that if you're torturing someone, it means something. Even if they're screaming and yelling, this is awful, this is horrible, stop, stop, stop. You can just negate what they're saying as just their opinion. And it doesn't mean anything. There's no truth value in their opinion. They say, this is very, very bad. It hurts me very, very much. I am in very, very bad state. I want this to stop. And they can say whatever they want. And these are just statements that you may perfectly logically negate as being just nonsensical opinions derived through no logical foundation. They have the opinion that it's bad, but they don't have any justification to have that opinion. That's what he's saying. There's no other way around what he's saying. He's saying no victim who ever says or complains or gripes has any legitimacy to that gripe. The gripe is completely a subjective, fucktarded notion in their head, and it has absolutely no correlation to anything real. There was no bad event. There was no harm that was endured. There was no real bad that took place. It's just their fucking opinion based on no logical foundation. That's what he's saying. He wants to turn every fucking goddamn experience people have into some taste contest between chocolate and vanilla ice cream. He wants to pretend that there's no such thing as some actual harm that can take place to a sentient being. He is insane. Why don't you people just call him what he is? Insane. You're fucking insane. Alright? There's perfect logical continuity from me having a negative, bad, sensual experience, a knife stuck in my eye, me saying, ow, that hurts like motherfucking hell, this is a bad thing, stop, it must stop, it should stop, this is a bad thing happening in the universe. That's a perfectly rational opinion. There's no rational opinion where I could rationally say, oh, I'm just having a delusion, this isn't really obnoxious and horrible, this is just like eating cupcakes. He's saying that's the logical thing to say. Yeah, right, exactly, right? No. You're insane.
Sentient states are, by definition, inject an art. I agree. This injects an art, but again, it's for individuals.
Right. It's always for individuals. What good is an art if it doesn't apply to anybody but the individual? I mean, what? How can it possibly mean anything? Yes, the Jews ought not to suffer, but I'm not feeling any of the pain, so who cares? Right? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. It either ought to be universally, or it doesn't matter. There's no such thing as a personal ought.
No, you can't just keep on going mad at me for this discussion of the individualistic nature.
No, yeah, I can, because there's no point in it. Again, why would I engage in a conversation with somebody who's going to tell me what his fucking opinion of his earwax is? I don't give a fuck. If you're not describing reality, you're not doing anything of significance or meaning to me. I have absolutely no will to watch your fantasy film. It sucks in the first place. It's obnoxious to my senses. So if you're not proposing this as a theory of truth, then shove it up your fucking ass. Why don't you just label it correctly, let everybody understand, okay, that you're a nihilist motherfucker and you don't think there's any such thing as ethics. You just think there's some sort of, the bigots all agree with each other and do whatever the fuck they want. That's the game we're playing. I mean, fuck you. This is just so obnoxious. You're just such an asshole. Disgusting.
Play another clip where you talk about the personal nature.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. You bet. How big a lie is this going to be? How big out of context is this going to be? Let's see how low this fucking piece of shit goes.
11:10.
Organisms, they endure protracted, harsh discomfort, and that it's bad fundamentally. Part of that argument is made out of the personal observation.
So again, the context here is...
Yeah, the context here again is to say, yes, you have to be sentient to have a sentient experience. You have to be able to feel. I mean, holy fuck! Rocks can't do it. Computers can't do it. We do it. We have feelings. You have to be sentient to have a feeling. I mean, damn. How is that personal? It applies to every fucking sentient being. How is that a personal statement? Anyway, I'll be back. Anyway, just gets too crazy, right? I mean, he now has said there's no evidence that a horse's broken leg is any detriment to me. So where is anybody arguing it's a detriment to you? That the logical statement being made is it's a detriment to you if the horse has a broken leg. It's not the argument. The argument is there a logical reason not to break the legs of horses? Is there a logical reason to prevent horses from having broken legs? That's the subject, retard. The title of my video had the words, me equals them. That's the contention. That my suffering, it doesn't matter who is suffering. My brain should have the same reaction. Suffering be bad. Suffering be something to prevent. Truth.
It's bad fundamentally for themselves. There's no evidence to suggest the horse with the broken leg is of any detriment to me at all. Okay.
So whatever. So the people who like this video and comment positively, this is how you see the world. You could quite comfortably live in a world where all kinds of horror was taking place right across the street. Adolf Hitler could live there. And it'd be okay with you because there's no harm to you. As long as you're not being harmed, it's okay. It's okay to slaughter Indians. It's okay to do all kinds of enslave people. It's all okay with you, right? You're not only giving no shit about the animals on this planet, the other sentient mammals. You don't give a shit about the other sentient humans either, do you?
Oh, I think that's about it. We'll go back to the other video.
Yeah, and quote mine that one for what, another 15 seconds, 10 seconds?
One of them are just all the examples, but yeah, I mean, from his description, if humans didn't show up to call gravity gravity, there'd be no gravity.
This egregious putting it, you complain about, oh no, direct quotes if I don't do this in trajectory style. But what is the point of doing an interjectory style video if you're going to make these grandiose leaps? How have I spoken about the non-existence of gravity?
Oh, gee. I used it as a comparison. I said it's just the same, okay? You're saying there is no real value, okay? When humans weren't in the game, there was nothing meaningful because you didn't exist. It's not even humans, it's you. You're the only thing, right? All the humans that had broken legs for the thousands or millions of years that human beings have been walking around, none of that bothered you any, so therefore it wasn't a meaningful event. There was no meaningful event until you showed up to say it's meaningful now because I have feelings and fuck the rest of you people. I mean, that's essentially your philosophy, you crazy fuck. You don't want to take responsibility for the implications of the nonsense drivel that you're speaking. You're saying that value is something we make up, not something we reveal to be a reality in the world. Okay, that's the implication of your idiotic philosophy. If it's made up, that means it's a fable, a fantasy, a fairy story, something not based on logic. You're saying there's no logical reason for you to think there's a problem if a horse has a broken leg. You're saying that there's no logical reason for somebody to think there's a problem if a horse has a broken leg. And quite obviously, in my opinion, ignoring a broken leg is just as meaningful as ignoring gravity. Crazy bastard.
It's plain ridiculous, man.
Yeah, if any humans didn't show up to sit there and label things, concepts that existed, they wouldn't exist. Now, before humans, there was sentience on planet Earth. And it seems obvious that there were value states being endured by the sentient creatures. They were horrible.
But in the respect that you get to use the word value states, what you're saying is that they can observe that these preferential states and wanting to move out of the bad zone, the red zone, into a greener zone.
Well, why say something like red zone and green zone when you don't believe those zones have any meaning? The red zone doesn't have any actual meaning as a bad thing. Red doesn't mean anything. In your economy, there's no such thing as debt. It's all play money. So again, you're the one cheating the vocabulary. You're the one playing manipulative games here. Don't sit there and talk as if you agree that there's a red zone and a green zone. You don't agree that those things exist. You're saying that there's a perception of somebody thinking they're in a red zone or thinking they're in a green zone. But there is no actual being in such a zone. Fuck. Such a cheater. Halfway through it, I'm gonna just try to play. Fuck, I can't do this whole video. It's just a waste. No. Alright, this part ought to be funny. Yeah, he's gonna talk about lions and gazelles.
Yeah, but there was no obligation for the lion to consider, the suffering of the gazelle that it hunts down.
Okay, so there was no obligation for it to do that consideration. So he's saying if the lion was smart enough, if the lion had knowledge of the gazelle's suffering, the lion would have no obligation to consider it. Intelligence wouldn't give you any reason to have pause about any particular behavior nature would have given you. So if we were assassin bugs or we can go just down Tyrannosaurus. We can go down if we were an AIDS virus, we wouldn't have any reason to modify our behavior. Nature made us just a stupid, idiotic killing machine, and that's all we should be. So even with intelligence, we should not pay any attention to any harm we do. We shouldn't consider the suffering we cause other sentient organisms of equal meritorious value to ourselves. We should just do as the DNA says and think no further. That's the logical thing to do. The logical thing to do is ignore what your intelligence is revealing to you and instead act like an asshole. That's his argument. The lion has no logical obligations. Let's just say if the lion had intelligence. Again, we can't. Obviously, it has no obligations if it's ignorant. We're talking about obligations created by knowledge. If it has knowledge of the gazelle's suffering, it has obligation. Duh. Just as the rapist has obligation to the rape victim. Just as the pedophile has obligation to the molested child. Just as the drunk has obligation to the innocents it may run over. These are all obligations created by knowledge. And you're an insane motherfucking kook if you can't understand that.
Human to project their little finger on it and say, I'm projecting value, I now declare it to mean something. It meant something in and of itself. The experience of the conscious state is in itself intrinsically, fundamentally.
Only to persons.
Yeah, only to persons. Again, of course it happens to individuals, but the fact that it happens to an individual is significant. The horse with the broken leg is significant. The suffering of the gazelle is significant. These are things that are important. That was in your fucking goddamn dictionary. These are important things happening in the universe. Sentient being suffering is an important event. You're saying it's not an important event. That's what you're fucking saying. That's what you assholes that are agreeing with this fucktard are saying. You're saying that something suffering is not an important event. Fuck! Oh, well, anyway, it just gets funnier and funnier. So he's going on a little bit here about, the universe with no feeling things in it, just intelligences. And he's talking about one intelligence being imprisoned by another intelligence. But prison isn't painful or deprivating or in any way a lesser experience than not being imprisoned. Yeah, really quite funny.
Powerful, and but he was imprisoned. He felt no pain or particular distress, except that he wasn't getting the chance to fulfill his desires.
Can't have desires. Sorry, that's a feeling mechanism. Okay, you can have an ambition, a programmed ambition, but there's no consequence to the non-fulfillment of the ambition. So that won't work either. Again, you can't make something mean something if there is no harm available. Harm is the photon, okay, of value, just as the photon is to the universe, the material universe, harm is to the value universe. Well, this is pathetic. Alright, well, let's play this part because it should be interesting, I think. So he's getting into a premise where I've just did my little clip where I talk about the one sentient in the universe and now it matters. So I've used the word matters. And obviously matters, from my perspective, is obviously this is sort of the projection word in the sense that it matters as a logical ought. It matters as a, it requires attention. It matters in the sense that there's a significant event taking place. It's important. So a sentient creates importance. Nothing's important if nothing can be harmed. Nothing can be put in a less qualitative state of being in terms of comfort. If nothing can be made less comfortable, there can't be anything that matters.
Matters to that sentient state. Wholly to that singular sentient state.
Okay, so he's saying that there's no logical reason for it to matter to any intelligence who observes its sentience and observes its vulnerability to harm. The fact that an intelligence would recognize it's vulnerable to being harmed, squished or tortured or in some other way damaged, in some way that will create negative sensations, that will have no purpose or function, that will just be wasted suffering. The fact that an intelligence would recognize that would oblige that intelligence to make it a non-significant observation. That is unreasonable. There's no reasonable intelligent theory of why an intelligence would say, ah, I've realized its vulnerability, I've realized it can be put in a very negative state, and I now shall ignore that knowledge. That can't be made reasonable. That can't be made logical. It would be insane to ignore that knowledge.
In what other sense does it matter? It doesn't matter to the universe.
The universe doesn't have a brain, doesn't have knowledge. So again, you keep pointing to things that don't have knowledge of its vulnerability. Do you think if the universe had knowledge of its harmability, that it wouldn't matter to the universe? So the universe, we give the universe intelligence. It can now logically understand the vulnerability that the sentient is in, and you're saying the universe would pay no attention. There's some rational, logical reason why the universe would say, I disregard the significance of that reality. It's the only feeling thing in the universe. I shall turn my eyes and go look at cosmos and stuff. I shall go pay attention to the non-sentient matter. I shall contemplate non-sentient nothing. I shall do absolutely nothing. I shall blow my brain out that I just got, okay, rather than pay attention to the one sentient organism in the universe. I mean, can anybody take this seriously? You know, I don't want to use, you know, like too grotesque an analogy or an example. But I mean, if I put a newborn baby in the middle of the nice cut grass in the middle of Central Park, I'm sure people could figure out that that was sort of important. That the grass wasn't too damn important, but the baby was fucking important. I'm sure they could figure that out.
Doesn't matter if there's rocks it's sat on.
Yeah, do the rocks have a brain? Do the rocks have knowledge? Can the rocks do logic? No. So yeah, of course it can't matter to them because they can't think of it, they can't understand it, they can't say, I think that's significant. They can't do the logic of saying, I think that's significant.
Doesn't matter to the spike that impales it.
The spike that impaled it or something? I don't know. Again, it doesn't have a brain. It doesn't have knowledge of the sentience. So again, we can't expect it to matter to it because it can't do logic. We're talking about what's something that can do logic. Something that has knowledge and is logical. What would that do? That's what you're contending humans are supposed to be. Knowledgeable and logical. And your theory is that it's knowledge, it's evidence of their knowledge and their logic to ignore sentient harm.
Mattering is an evaluation done by instances. If you want to
done by instances. Does that make any sense to you? No, it's an evaluation done by intelligences.
things in categories, we ask ourselves what's in the category, and it's instances of individuals deciding things matter.
Deciding it matters, right? It's not things suffering. That's not in the category harm, is sentient organisms experiencing unpleasant sensation. Again, so who's redefining words? Who's playing games with words? It's all over this nonsense. We've already established these categories of bad, okay? And bad, the category bad isn't you have an opinion that something's bad. That's not the category bad, and you goddamn know it.
Because you don't know of other alternative routes to morality doesn't allow you to go, well, it must do, because what else? We all can just do whatever we want. Well, then you must educate yourself.
No, I'm afraid you're the uneducated, nonsensical person talking fables. You're saying we should all agree on some sort of, okay, it's either Daffy Duck or Bugs Bunny, Porky Pig, or Elmer Fudd. Yeah, let's all pick a fairy tale character and believe in it. That's all you're saying. Let's have a subjective, intersubjective agreement on a fairy tale. And I'm saying, no, I don't want that. Okay? It's not that I don't understand that. I don't want that. That's not philosophy. That's not intelligence. That's absolute fucking childish nonsense. You're an immature asshole.
Inquire to me and some of my many videos on Kantian ethics about how can one arrive at some morality without.
Well, I'm not interested in morality anyway as a word or a concept, so I'd like to just throw that word out. So again, I don't know what to say. It's not something I'm interested in, so why don't you title your channel, why don't you put morality in the title just to know that you're telling people, here, I have a dogmatic statement on what your intersubjective agreement should be. Yeah. I'm selling chocolate bunnies.
Assertions.
It matters what happens to that sensitive creature. I just don't know how that can be argued with.
What I don't know is how you can argue with me so vociferously and so angrily about the context and the meaning of the word matters. Clearly.
Because you're evil. That's why. You're a fucking evil motherfucker. You're saying the word is a fantasy word. That's why, asshole. You're saying all the people that died in World War II, all the harsh, awful blood and guts, all the anguish and pain and suffering was their delusion. That's all you're saying, you shithead. You're saying their opinion about their pain means something, but their pain doesn't mean anything. Fuck you.
That sentient organism thinks it matters to itself. And clearly, you like to talk about this personal perspective.
No, I don't. I clearly, the only personal perspective I brought up was personal between all human beings. I'm saying all human beings are conscious personally. I'm not making a personal statement. I'm saying that they're personally all, these are generic functions of human individuals. Brains are individual. Yeah, that's the way it works, idiot. I'm not saying anything about any personal intersubjective agreement crap.
And clearly, as illustrated in my Venn diagram, you can't change my Venn diagram set theoretic approach. Clearly, you can't change the meaning of a word mid-argument.
Well, again, it's a lie to say I've done that. It's your contrivance. It's your bullshit. It's your nonsense. I haven't changed any of these words. I am not making any personal argument about a subjective opinion. And implying it to somebody else. I'm saying my opinion of my suffering is the same as my opinion of somebody else's suffering. There's no difference between those two opinions.
Makes no sense. It is illogical. It will never fit a logical argument.
Well, it'll never be logical for somebody to sit there and step on the newborn baby or whatever in the field of grass. Go get pick up a daisy. That won't make sense. Fuck you, you idiot.
It is the root of value as a concept, but it's still something that is done personally, and that each sentient...
Right. So again, I was just making the point that but we're back to the universe thing, and just the simple argument that there's no rational argument for an intelligence to see one sentient thing in the universe, and then to see the rest of the universe, and for it not to think there's significance in the sentient organism's welfare. There's no rational way for it to draw the conclusion that the sentient is no more important than the rocks or the planets or the cosmos or the galaxies or the nebula or all the other crap. No rational, logical way you can make that make sense. It has to be the most important thing, because it's the only thing that can do value.
State finds for itself its own valuations. Thus, though it is the root from the personal perspective,
Right. He's going to say the root of meaning is opinion. Yeah, no, sorry. No.
the root of nothing in the grand perspective, because, well, you've not effectively argued for it. You begin your videos now very often. You either accept this or you don't.
Oh, well, I mean, really, it really is that simple. Again, I didn't realize there were nihilists. I didn't even know they existed, to tell you the truth. I don't know how anybody could sit there and say feelings don't matter, even their own. It's nonsensical. They could say to me honestly, it doesn't matter if I stick a nail in their hammer it right to their fucking eyeball, or give them a cupcake. They can't tell the difference between those two experiences. I didn't realize there was people on Earth who were that insane. I just didn't. And so I'm sort of unprepared to make arguments to lunatics who can't tell the difference between a nail in their eye and a cupcake. Yeah, I don't know what to say to those kind of people. I guess all I can say is you are crazy, and I'm really wasting my time talking to somebody who can't tell the difference between a nail in their eye and a cupcake.
Since you're like religion, saying, look, you've got to have faith.
I'm sorry, that's not... I mean, there's no faith involved. I'm just saying, if I'm coming at the average human on Earth with a nail heading for their eye, we don't need faith to figure out they're going to all say, no mas, no thank you, maybe tomorrow. They're going to find some excuse not to have the nail in their eye. There's no faith involved in that. It's a guarantee. Nobody's going to volunteer for nail in the eye. No one.
I don't have faith in somebody as hostile and dogmatic and refusing to actually answer the points that I raise.
Yeah, well, you're such a fucking liar. I shouldn't do anything but shit on your fucking head if I had the opportunity, because you're just a shit motherfucking talking lying piece of shit. Yeah, I hate your motherfucking goddamn guts because you're an obnoxious, stupid motherfucker talking inane, silly nonsense. You're wasting my goddamn time, and you're doing it talking shit stupider than Mengele. Mengele wasn't as dumb as this. Mengele wouldn't say shit this stupid.
Such as yourself.
Of conscious experience. No, that's enough. So I'll beat it to death.
Okay, so that is pretty much everything that needs to be said.
No logical reason to pay any attention to sentience in distress. He's saying there's no logical reason for you to be at all distracted by any sentient thing in any negative condition ever. No logical imperative, no logical ought, no logical mandate to consider the welfare of the sentient at all.
I don't think I'll bother. I just hope Gary can address himself to the questions I'm posing.
Yeah, there's no question here, you idiot. So anyway, fuck you. That's what I hope. Fuck you. I hope you get what you deserve. Yeah, remember, that's what I say. I hope you get exactly what you have earned. Yeah, exactly. Fuckhead.